You are listening to 4 Point Stance, women's tackle football talk on so many places. It's just exhausting to have to read this novel. You know, Twitter, iHeartRadio, Yelphi, YouTube, Anchor.fm, and that'll get you to a lot of other places, and on Facebook. If you want to find access to all of that, you can contact me on Twitter at W34VI1 directly, or the show, the number 4_PT_stance. And as a reminder, National Suicide Prevention Lifeline available 24/7 no matter what, 1-800-273-8255, and the Trans Lifeline. Canadian number is 877-330-6366, and the US number is 877-565-8860. So, obviously, not much going on in the sense of content, so that's why, last week was taken off. But might as well go ahead and get out what little news we have and go from there. So, it was announced by the WTFL that a new team had joined the league. The Wasatch Warriors. I probably just butchered that name and I apologize. But they're located out of Utah. So that makes the third team, and this is in the Salt Lake area. This is actually just below Salt Lake City on the, pretty much, I guess you could say, the south side of the Tabernacle. And we have another team forming, but that makes the first West Coast team for the WTFL. So that does open the door to this league actually expanding beyond just the East Coast that it has right now. Other news that we had, and this was announced actually a couple days ago by the owner of the Mile High Blaze. Any time now, even though I was able to find it, the Mile High Blaze have their own Apple app. Looks like it'll have people can donate money, they can get information on the team. This is not the first time a team has actually done stuff where they have like a custom app. I know that at the time, the Detroit Dark Angels actually had a channel on Roku, but it wasn't upkept, so it'll be interesting to see. I do believe Mile High will keep this pretty up to date, obviously. They kind of have to, being in with a Apple app. I'm more impressed in the fact that they got it made, because that's not an easy interface to work with. Google I could understand, because that's more of a, Linux-based thing, but Apple uses Cocoa and a few other things, and it's not easy to program. So, maybe we'll see other teams follow in real quick, but at least right now, Mile High Blaze do have themselves on Apple products. Sadly, right now, that's all I have in the way of news. It's kind of a slow day. Like I said, this is not much of a show right now, but figured it wasn't appropriate to, take a week off and not have anything the following week, so figured why not. And to kind of go from there, I'm kind of doing something a little different. I don't even really have anything for rules or, I'm still trying to figure out what to do with that, just in the fact of there's a lot kind of needs to be built. It would be nice to know if listeners would like a true 101. Like if you would like it literally breaking down, this is what a center is. This is, here's some notable male players that are in this position. Here is, this and this. And, if the people want that, then I'll do it. Otherwise, it's just going to be kind of whatever comes across that I need to explain. It's kind of a tough thing with this rule segment. Not having a whole bunch. I might add in another segment where it's actually like a true 101. Not sure yet. But, yeah, we're kind of, playing that little, waiting for everything to kind of kick off, because you never know what we have coming down the bend.
Discretion is advised.
Obviously, this show is mostly Real Brew today, mainly because for the first time in forever, we've actually hit the quiet time. And I mean it in the fact of the silly season switcheroo, amongst other things, but teams are still trying to figure out where they're going to go. Contracts are due for some teams. Some teams are, doing tryouts, the fun nitty-gritty. It's really going to ramp up probably in the next, I say, couple weeks. As more teams start moving, more teams start getting announced. And then once January hits, it's all hell's breaking loose, and we start focusing on the 2020 season for at least the teams, leagues I'm covering. Be interesting for that. I do realize that I did leave out a little bit of a news piece in the fact that the Tennessee Titans game this weekend will have all those games. I just don't want to have to cover that bullshit anymore, so no offense to Derby City and Music City and Columbus Vanguards and Knoxville. You could think the other two that shall forever remain, sorry. You could thank them and their league that no longer is covered here for me kind of not really covering it much anymore. But we'll see how that plays out with 6 teams trying to do that. And I guess that's one of those you stay tuned for everybody's Facebook, because obviously it'll flood through everything come Saturday evening on the East Coast, Saturday afternoon for the rest of us, or Sunday for the rest of us. But yeah. And another thing I was kind of wanting to do, because you got your dumpster fire being college, but I guess the ultimate dumpster fire is Trump announced that he's going to attend the LSU-Alabama game, and I agree with Jamel Hill on this. Is he trying to find the one sporting event that he won't get booed at? He's been booed at 2 so far. The World Series and a UFC fight. But I hate to tell him, he needs to stick to his rallies, because at least then his minions are there. And I don't really care. I know a lot of people are like, ooh, you need to stick to sports. Yeah, fuck you. Sports and politics have always been together. You don't believe me? Just remember in the 1930s Olympics, when it was held in Germany, Hitler protested because he didn't want to see black athletes on the field from the United States, because he said they had an unfair advantage, but he was perfectly fine with the doping and the deliberate cheating by the Russian soldiers that were happening from that time. But, and then of course his German soldiers were doing it too. But that was totally a political stance. It was not just him, other than, yes, Hitler was an asshole. But it was a political sports connection. That was clear back in the 30s and 40s, World War II. And it's not like this isn't something that hasn't been around for a long time. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The reason why NFL or NBA players have to stand for the national anthem is because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was protesting and was sitting during the national anthem, and their collective bargaining agreement and how they all, argued it, now they have to stand. But their commissioner has now said that he doesn't even see that as an important rule, but the owners want to keep it. And he's only one voice of many. Where the NFL, they'll keep somebody out because they, took a knee for protesting police brutality, but it's okay to keep somebody who throws a temper tantrum because he's not quite as good as he thought he was. And, we just want to pick and choose our battles here, I guess. It's pretty funny how politics seem to play a role when we want it to, but if it does make us uncomfortable, suddenly it's a problem. And I'm just gonna say right now, it's not, that shit goes together. It has to. We wouldn't have a lot of sports if it wasn't for politics. Women's sports wouldn't exist if it wasn't for politics. And if any of you want to argue that fact, look up Title IX. Look that up. That was a political act that got at women's sports. And I don't want somebody coming up and mansplaining to me all about that shit. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not in the mood for it. Pushing that all aside, I guess you could say it's a shameless plug. Because I'm not, as I said, I'm kind of, not sure on content right now. It's kind of minimal. Obviously. There's just very little going on this time of year, which is a good thing. I know, I could probably start bugging people for interviews, but at the same time, there's so many other shows in the sport that do the same thing. Sometimes it's nice being different, because I don't hold anyone's hand, and I don't snow anybody. I don't blow smoke up anybody's ass. Do I offend a lot of people by speaking the truth? Oh, fuck yeah. God, do I. But at the same time, that's why people keep coming back, because they want to know what else am I going to talk about. But putting that all aside, I guess you could say, as I said before, this is kind of a shameless plug. Not for the show partially, but definitely for the production company, Weevil Productions. We're going to actually be unveiling pretty soon a new set of trading cards that I'm hoping people will want to get involved in. Those that are on YouTube can actually see kind of snippets or kind of the initial proofs. They're not finalized yet of what I'm hoping to put up. And it's going to be split into multiple categories. You're going to have your rookie category, your veteran category, which is going to be from year 2 to about year 9. I have what I'm calling the legacy, which is 10 plus. Your legendaries, who are all the retired ones. Team USA, because that's one thing we do not have on the women's side. I saw that Team USA gave the men cards, but the women do not have Team USA trading cards. So that is something I'm hoping to provide. And then I have the other category. One is for coaches, GMs, owners, and the second other category is for everyone else, whether it's team mom, volunteer, a kid. It can just be set up for anything else. If you are interested, just from the proofs, I am still working on them design-wise. I have a couple people that are helping me with that. As I tweak it here and there, I kind of update their proof for them. But if you are interested or you want to become part of the, prototype group, let me know. I'd love to be able to go from there, but contact me and I will get you the information that I need. I do have certain criteria. It's not just, anybody can do it. I may eventually bring it up and allow media to get involved. I may have a separate card for that. So right now, the other two, I know some teams, other broadcasters, whatnot, well, other two would fit for them, but I may eventually move over to the media and have other two be for, parents, kids, and other volunteers, and then the, essential staff may get other 3. I'll just figure that. I'm not sure yet, but as I said, these are still kind of in the making. But if you are interested in kind of helping get this off the ground, just so, yes, we have Doji Malo, but it's very choosy. This I actually want to make available to everyone. So, teams can get involved in this. And I'll tell you right now, it definitely is something that once they're made, pretty much all you've got to pay for is the materials for me to make it and get it to you. And then from there, you're free to sell it as your own games for whatever you want to do, or sign them and auction them off, whatever. I don't really care. But I do know that each person that orders it is guaranteed one free card of their own, just for their own personal keeping. That is one thing I've always felt like is missing. And I know we've got a few other cards coming around. I always feel like that's missing. But, yeah, it's definitely, I think, one of those things. It's just, for some of us, that's like one little ass keepsake. You know, some people, it's that ring, you know, that championship ring, or that, you know, the jersey hung up, whatever. But for other people, it could be as simple as a trading card. And if that's all you've got with a few photos, then, you know, it can be done. I can tell you that the name of them are koi cards, and that is a reference to kind of my personal brand, koi, and it's actually spelled K01. It's actually Finnish, because it's actually originally spelled KOI, and it's actually Finnish for the word moth. And if you notice from the logo, it is kind of a modification of the Death Head's moth, but the Death Head's moth is actually, believe it or not, a football. Instead of the Death Head, it is just this football helmet with a football body and football laces. So, kind of doing something a little creative with it, but still keeping it within brand of Weevil Productions overall. But again, if you are interested, please let me know. I can tell you right now, so far, I have Monique Boone involved. I have made proofs for her. I am going to be making proofs for the Oregon Hawks, and proofs will be made pretty soon once we get going for both Mississippi Royalty and the Gulf Coast Monarchy. So I do work with full teams. It's just a matter of once we fully get this plan out and all these cards proofed, then we can really start cooking with gas. And so this is going to be a very interesting setup. It only goes as far as everyone else lets it. So just so you know, and yes, there is a watermark on those for watching, because I don't want somebody else taking this concept in the sense of claiming it as their own. That's fine if you're going to promote it to get people this direction, but do not claim that it is your own creation. Because to be honest, I'm a little sick, personally I'm a little sick of seeing copyright violations all around this league. There is, you know, you have fair use in the sense of educational purposes. What Burmy does in his little write-ups is educational. That fits in the fair use clause. Using the logos as the teams have released them does fit in fair use when he uses them exactly. And when he goes through and changes the colors on it without permission, that's kind of pushing it. But that's between him and the teams. That is seriously between him and the teams. Now, I know some of you are thinking, yeah, well, you use the logos in the show too, because I'm throwing stuff. You're using the logos in your show as well. Yes, but I do not alter them. I also do not claim that I own them, or in any fashion. But I also am a media professional, and know where my limits are. I don't alter these images. I may occasionally put white backgrounds with them, so that they stand out on the black backgrounds that I put on my stuff. But there is no color correction, nothing. So whatever the teams put on Facebook, I use. Occasionally I may have to remove some stray pixels from, you know, removing like a white background, unless that white background is imperative to that logo. But again, I don't make any money off this show, period. And this is purely for educational purposes. This is to teach everyone what is going on in women's tackle football, good, bad, or ugly. So, just so you know, there's that. This, I don't intend to make any money off of. This is actually probably all the money that's going to go into this is all going to go to production costs and shipping. Unless I get a really big sponsor to step in and say, oh, you know, here, make as many as you need, and we'll go forward. Then otherwise, unfortunately, I do have to push the costs on everyone else. That's still kind of up for debate. I know some of you have seen on Weevil Productions the pricing chart that it says $25, minimum 5 cards, which is really just 5 cards $5 a card for 5 cards. That is actually for kind of the extra if it is tied to, and this is a special thing if you get to this point in the show. If you do send me a message saying that you heard this from 4 Point Stance, then you actually will get quite, it'll work in your favor. Never know, I might eventually figure out how to make them digital and include video in them, like, how Sports Illustrated magazine sometimes will have a still picture, you click on it and it moves, or has extra content, we'll figure that out. But as we go along, this is obviously something that's going to build, and I'm hoping to really have them up and out and about by start of the season. If not, expect right around Christmas for the full rundown, full layout, and release of that. I do have a few other things coming out. I do have a few things for the show coming out between now and start of the season. And I mean in between now and April. So, just kind of a few things for everybody to get excited about. That all being said, this has been kind of a short version of 4 Point Stance with a shameless plug, or shameless pug if you really want to be honest. Heard on just damn near anywhere on the internet. Easiest way to find all that is to get a hold of me on Twitter at W34VI1, it's my stuff directly, or the number 4_PT_stance. You can go to YouTube, type in 4 Point Stance, find the show. Go to Facebook and find it under Weevil Productions, or you can just go to anchor.fm/4PT_stance, and it will actually get you connected to damn near everywhere that I have mentioned before. I'm on iHeartRadio, I'm on TuneIn, Stitcher, Mixcloud. I'm on a lot of places, so it isn't that hard to find my show. And if you don't know how to find my show, don't be afraid to ask. And as a reminder, National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, available 24/7, especially this time of year. They're there to help. It's always a tough time of year for a lot of people. 1-800-273-8255, and the Trans Lifeline. This is really where they want to help too. This is a very tough year for a lot of people. Canadian number is 877-330-6366, and the US number is 877-565-8860.